Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm DJ Montage, also known as the gentleman behind the glass. I'm sitting in for Angel tonight, and we're going to be starting this evening with the coaching sessions, a new and different mental health show. And it's going to be episode 4, talking about all the emotions. And this is going to be with Jeannie and Jesse. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this thing started. All right, let's bring Jeannie and Jesse in here and welcome them on in.
Wow, that was painless.
Wow, and fast.
I expected it to be kind of painful, but
Yep.
that was pretty easy. It brought us in.
The teleporting thing is,
Kind of. I was likening it to birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. We're coming at you live from the Bahamas. Give a shout out to Angel, who's navigating some serious thunderstorms over there in Tampa. He can't be there with it. So let's send our love and hugs to Angel. But we are excited to have DJ Montage hosting us again.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
with the man behind the glass.
The man behind the glass.
Every time I get a chance to be in, it's more experience, which is awesome. And I appreciate you guys being here. It's going to be an awesome night tonight.
Yeah, on our new night, same time, 8 o'clock, but new night due to popular demand. We're doing Monday nights now. For a while.
It's a good way to start out the week.
I don't know how I feel about competing with Monday Night Football in the fall, but we'll talk about that when we get there. We might have another change.
Absolutely. So how are you doing tonight, DJ?
I am doing really well. Excited. Most definitely excited.
Excited. That's an emotion, isn't it?
I think it is.
Okay. Just kind of want to
be an emotion.
I was hoping to segue.
I think that's great.
Yep. Well, I do have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Since we're going to be talking about emotions tonight, would you guys like to get us started here?
We absolutely would. We're going to be talking all sorts of emotions, and because I think there's a lot of confusion, like what the heck are these things, right? If I think a thought, is that an emotion? This thought that's making me feel a certain kind of way? Or is it something different? So we encourage you guys, call in, message in, comment in, text in. We're here to answer your questions.
So what are emotions?
What are emotions?
No, I'm actually asking.
No, I'm asking. So
all right, back to you, DJ. No, I'm just kidding.
So we have thoughts, right? And we have feelings, right? And we have emotions. And these are all common terms that we hear every day.
Right.
So, but I think there's slight differences that sort of get overlooked in the grand scheme of things.
Well, like sometimes I feel an emotion and I'm not thinking a very specific thought. I just feel a certain way.
Right.
So does that tell me that, or does that say that emotions don't come from thoughts?
No, they absolutely can be sparked by thoughts. Ooh.
Hold on, let me get that.
Hello. Someone's calling in. That's a good thing. So I think feelings are the embodiment of emotions.
Hold on, you just switched to the word feelings.
I did. I wanted to talk about feelings and emotions. Sometimes can be used synonymously. I feel sad.
I don't think that we've defined anything.
All right. Well, I think then you should define things.
I wasn't looking to, but I will jump off the edge of the boat.
Please do.
Okay. So emotions are a cascade, potentially, of biochemicals. And I use that term very unspecifically because there's a couple of processes that range everywhere from not mechanical,
electrostimulation neurochemically.
Surges that create the release of hormones and other bodily functions. The bottom line is that we feel, as you started using the word feelings, we feel emotions.
We feel, that's why we call them feelings, because we're feeling them in our body. When we feel, nervous.
Okay.
You may feel that butterfly feeling. That's why I said earlier, I jumped the gun a little bit. I'm just excited about emotions. That feelings are the embodiment of emotions.
Okay.
But I think the emotions well, I'll let you continue.
Oh, you'll let me continue
I'll let
your
you
thought.
continue my
Okay.
thought.
So Genia had a thought,
I had a
and this
thought.
is what she felt about it. So we receive signals in the form of thoughts, both consciously and subconsciously. So while we might be aware of a thought that we have, say we get a text message from somebody who we were really hoping to hear from,
Mhm.
we can obviously, if asked in that moment, we're very aware that, yeah, it was that text message that made me feel so good, so appreciated, so connected, so to speak, with somebody who I was then texting back. But oftentimes we're not aware of thoughts that are occurring behind the scenes, so to speak, in our subconscious that also have our body react to them and create emotions, which end up being feelings. And we might be left with a sense of, oh, I feel this certain way, but I don't really know why. So I think it's important that we understand that there's two potential buckets that are those stimulus for our emotions. Not, and then we can, I hope, get into how we process, how we feel, or how we choose not to feel and we resist. But to understand, at least fundamentally, that we can have an experience that lasts for 5 seconds, but in those 5 seconds, there's various different reminders inside of our subconscious mind that bring forth thoughts that we may not be consciously aware of, but we also may be consciously aware. So, for example, that text message comes in, you get excited because you're going to text back to this person who you've been hoping to talk to. And in the back of your mind, in the subconscious, might be a thought of, oh, there's this other friend who I haven't texted in a while, and I think it's supposed to be my turn to text them. And so now another emotion might start to bubble up or
Another
cascade.
thought sparks the feeling that sparks the emotion.
Exactly.
So I think there's a term for that.
Okay.
Actually, a scientific term, and I believe it is called the cognitive emotive loop. So cognitively, we think a thought, right? And the thought down to our bodies, right? And the feeling turns into the emotion that sends the emotion back to the thought and creates the loop. And that's what continues. Then the thought goes to the emotion, and the emotion goes to the thought, and the thought goes to the emotion.
That makes sense.
And then, but sometimes we can't get out of the loop.
Right.
Right.
Right. And in fact,
and we feed the loop. More
we
thoughts.
feed it. We create
more
it.
thoughts. And then we get more feelings or emotions.
Exactly. And it's not a matter of processing those thoughts in a way that is going to take us to a better emotion,
right,
or to even a worse emotion. We just regurgitate and we stay in that loop.
We stay in the loop and we get stuck in the loop. The thought, the feeling. I think the thought, it makes me feel. I think and then the feeling makes me think. The thought makes me feel, and the feeling makes me think.
And we've all felt being stuck at times, right?
Most definitely.
Okay.
It can be a vicious cycle, or we can get ourselves out of it. There's definitely something here that is exciting. Just like what Dylan Spalding is saying, it's excited to see the coaching duo back in action. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dylan.
Hi, Dylan. Glad to be back.
Great to see your name, buddy.
Yes, we had to take a little time off for some R&R.
Oh.
We got a little sick.
They are actually currently navigating a Tampa Bay thunderstorm and rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Which I'm assuming is not actually lightning, but
what a great night to have a thunderstorm when you're rooting for the Lightning.
That's it.
I mean, perfect.
it's just
Lightning.
Just part of the motivation.
Go away, thunderstorm, and yay, Lightning. Let's win. So emotions. So we get stuck in them. We do.
We do.
Is there a way out? I think there's a way out.
There always is a way
In fact,
out.
I know there's a way out.
And where would you suggest that start?
I believe the way out. Well, I think it would be start is to really kind of drill down and start labeling emotions properly.
Okay.
So I think we all know happy. We know sad. We know pissed off. Right?
Also known as anger.
Oh yeah. From New York, what do you want? We know the top three, right? The big three, but I think when we have that thought that I'm feeling sad, right? well, okay, are you frustrated sad? Are you grieving sad? Are you longing sad, or are you hurt sad? Same thing with anger. I'm pissed off. I'm angry. Okay. Really, what's going on? Am I frustrated? Am I hurt? Am I in pain? Like, what's going on underneath? Because I think what we've been doing is we label these emotions with such a surface,
Right.
in such a surface kind of way, because that's what we learned. We all seen the little
Plain.
smiley
Yep.
faces. How are you feeling today? Smiley face or mad face or surprised face.
Right.
I don't think any of us were really taught, the underlying, or to drill down and really become specific and get the clarity of what you're really feeling. Because I think half the time we don't even know.
Absolutely. And I think the way you broke that down is absolutely perfect for someone who sees the value, who believes that there's value, that there's utility in this process. Now, we both know that there are, but maybe even before the step of breaking apart a bundle emotion into its components, which I think is critical for doing anything useful.
For sure.
There's first the awareness, and alongside that awareness is a belief that that you have some efficacy in doing something. So, I've spoken to people or had conversations with people who don't believe that there's any ability to, and I won't use the word control, but let's just say work with their emotions, because you've laid out just a beautiful step of that first part of breaking it down. But you have to address the simple concept for yourself. Do I think it's possible that I can have something, some use through my emotions? I almost said over, but.
Well, I love that you're saying work with your emotions. We see a lot of memes. We hear a lot of people talking about controlling your emotions. And I think that sends the wrong message. I don't think it's about controlling.
It's more like understanding your emotions instead of trying to control them.
Right. Absolutely.
To be able to be there and feel them. And when you're able to notice them, you can actually start to understand them.
Exactly.
And allowing yourself to be in control then.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's less about control, and no harm to the people that are out there saying it. They're trying to help. It's a great concept. It's all over the place, but I think it puts a little more pressure. I must control. That must mean I shouldn't feel, right? And it's when it comes to emotions, it should be an integration, a work with, rather than a control
through it.
Yeah. We
work into it.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of who we are, part of being human.
Actually,
it's all of being human.
It is being
feeling
human.
all the emotions, but none of us were ever taught how to really drill down or even label our emotions correctly, or even become friends with our emotions. Most often we were talked out of our emotions as children and as young adults, and even as adults. And
well, there's a lot of information out there. There's I guess a lot of conditioning that says, and let's bring up a couple other emotive words that are just slamming the current moment.
Yeah, let's
anxiety, depression,
stress,
even the behaviors, or excuse me, the emotions that come from other people's behaviors.
Right.
These are things that are foremost on social media these days.
Everybody's toxic.
Absolutely.
It's getting a little crazy.
But what those all are doing are assuming the old, and I'll call it old because it is, but it's also just unspoken about process that you're detailing right now. The idea that okay, first, we become aware, we believe that we can do something. So we know that first step might be taking one of those large scale feelings that we feel: sad, angry, happy, and breaking it down into real definitions so that we can begin to understand where they come from, because that's probably the next step. So when do we do it? Do we do it when we're emotionally hijacked? Do we do it when we're, am I going to start looking at my anger and why I'm angry when I'm angry?
Probably not the best time to question your anger.
Okay.
When you're angry, right?
So what would you suggest? Where do you go?
Where do you go? I think you start, when you're quiet, when everything's kind of calm. You start practicing. You do your peacetime practicing,
Okay.
and you're the master at peacetime practicing. So lay out what is peacetime practicing.
Peacetime practicing
your concept
is, well, it's not mine. Absolutely stolen from many other people. Is the idea that, and I'll even give a little catalyst. You did just get super angry. You've just come down from, whether it was something that scared you or it was something that frustrated you,
something someone said,
and
something you read on Facebook,
and you may have ruminated about it for a couple of minutes or a couple of hours,
couple days.
but you find yourself at the end of it and you remember very viscerally minutes ago, hours ago, that feeling of being super angry. That's the time for peacetime prep. And what peacetime prep is, and it's going to sound a little scary for some, is you're going to practice going back to that emotion. You're going to set yourself up through your imagination. What was it that set you off? And you're going to think about it, and you're going to dive into that emotion, and you're going to expect or seek your body to react to that thought about that emotion, with one slight caveat, and that is you're controlling it. And there's that word control, but this is an exercise. And the idea is, all right, I was really upset. I was super pissed off, about 10 minutes ago because of this thing that happened. And I'm going to think about this thing, and I'm going to imagine how I felt, and I'm going to imagine how I looked to other people when I was feeling this way. And if you do that strong enough and with enough practice, you can start to feel your body react by bringing those emotions through those chemical releases back into your body. But again, there's that side that allows you to say, and if it gets too intense, I'm going to stop.
And step away from it.
I can stop it. I can step away from it. Absolutely. That is peacetime preparation. Now, there's obviously a second half, as in what do you do with it? But the most difficult at first to bring up is to get your body to react to just the simple thoughts, even though we do it completely automatically all the time.
And I like that you said the simple thoughts, because it's very hard to have a conversation about emotions without thoughts, because they work synergistically.
Absolutely.
We have to understand at the very, very basis that absolutely you can't really have one without the other.
Well,
you will never have an emotion without a thought first.
And let's do what you did for the large three emotions, and let's take the word thoughts and let's put a little bit of definition behind it.
Sure.
I believe, and maybe this is a great opportunity for a little bit of debate.
Oh.
And DJ Montage, ear up for this one. Okay. Thoughts are meanings about us. If they hold an emotional charge, if they have the potential, there is a meaning that we hold about ourselves, either through other people's eyes, as we believe, or simply how we feel about ourselves.
Well, I will agree with you mostly, but
a 95%.
You got like a 90.
Only a 90. Okay.
Because for me, I think thoughts are just things. they're gonna happen. We have we have 80,000 thoughts running through our brains every day. Do I think each one of those 80,000 have a meaning about me? No, not so much. I have lots of thoughts. That could be like a whole mini series of what goes on in crazy.
But we're talking about the ones
the ones that I find that we hook onto. Let's say the uncomfortable thoughts. There's your 90%.
That's all I was talking about.
The ones
those are the ones
we hook to, right?
Because the hook is the meaning,
right,
to ourselves.
So, because I think it's important. Thoughts are just things. Just because you think a thought doesn't make it true. But it's when you have that reaction to a thought, therein is a good trigger to tell you that there is some sort of truth, some sort of belief that's going on inside of you about that thought.
Oh, if you guys can hold on for a second, we actually have a question for you.
Oh, sure. Awesome. And we do tend to ramble on. So,
whoa.
Nope, not a problem. Dylan asked, "Hey guys, I got a question, and I think you guys are great. But my question is, I have dealt with some dark thoughts in my life, and luckily I have found ways to cope that by being around things and people that I love, but I also do have a hectic schedule, do you think by taking away and stepping back from the responsibilities can help clear your mind and maybe bring back peace? Hopefully, asking this well.
Yes, you
Asked
did.
it very well.
Very nicely written.
And I think we might have a couple of little differences in our answers here, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay.
I'm so overwhelmed.
DJ, would you be able to put that question back up again?
Most certainly.
Okay, so just want to
Yes.
read through Dylan's.
I want to make sure we
yeah.
got it. You know.
This question is, I have dealt with some dark thoughts in my life, and luckily I have found ways to cope with that.
Let's stop there. Let's address the dark thoughts first, maybe.
Sure, go for it.
Dylan, everybody on the planet, every human being that you have ever met, that's in your life now, and that you will ever meet in the history of ever, will have had dark thoughts. It's part of being human. I understand you. And sometimes we have these thoughts and we're like, oh my God, how could my mind create something so twisted? Then we just do.
So Genia and I have an experience and very possibly DJ Montage as well, where a couple of years ago in a group gathering, we had a number of people, and I'm not exactly sure how the conversation came up, but someone said, hey, I deal with some really dark thoughts and they kind of freak me out. So we explored it a little bit and asked them if they could give us a little some details about the dark thoughts, just so we could understand the context that they were speaking, kind of like your question, Dylan.
And the answers that came through were interesting. It came
but not just from the person who was describing it,
but from the whole group.
We got one by one, people went, wait,
Me
I've
too.
thought that too. And I've thought that. And here's one that I've thought. And suddenly what erupted was a huge conversation of dark thoughts from, and I think there was 6-8 people in this group. Mm-hmm. And we learned something very valuable from that moment, something that might help you as far as contextualizing your dark thoughts. They don't make you dark.
They don't define who you are. They're just thoughts.
Yep, they're part of us, you know, and it's coming to terms and being able to accept that is something that will help you down the road, and it'll broaden your horizons too with understanding who you are.
Right.
And going further for the next sentence, I love that you have found some tools that work for you, Dylan, and found ways to cope with your dark thoughts and surrounding yourself with people that you love and doing things that you love. That is awesome. Those are great tools that can work for you very well.
However,
in the short term.
Oh, you cut me on
I got you before you said it. In the short term, those things work wonderfully.
Yeah. So what Genia had mentioned was short term. So coping mechanisms, coping strategies they're great, viable for the short term. In other words, they will get you through the first few minutes, the first few hours, maybe the rest of that day if it's a challenging one. But for long term, you need something a little bit deeper, a little stronger, and a little more, quite a bit more committed. It ends up being, so look, real quick, as far as the dark thoughts are concerned, mm-hmm. Here's my personal trick. I laugh at them. I think they're hilarious. In fact, I think to myself that there are people in Hollywood who literally make fortunes based upon the dark thoughts that they can write out into movie scripts. We go to the movies and we get scared and we get freaked out. Do you ever wonder, wow, what kind of morbid individual thought up that idea right there? Well, you did. I did. We all did. It's the same thought. So when I have, a bizarre upcropping of some strange thought, I imagine, wow, would that be good for a movie? No, but boy, that's funny that I came up with it. Anyways, so on to the coping.
Yeah, coping, like we said, works awesome. Short term. I love it.
Absolutely. And for the long term, these are feelings that you want to understand. And in order to understand them, you have to start breaking them apart. You got to get curious.
A lot of times what we do, we'll pull out a coping mechanism, which is awesome, because these thoughts that we're having are making us uncomfortable, mm-hmm. mentally and physically. And we've been taught, and we're really good at, as humans, to avoid things that are uncomfortable. Avoidance.
Distraction.
I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel that icky feeling. I don't want to feel that dark, murky abyss. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it. But allowing our feelings to be felt and our emotions to be, I guess, addressed or accepted is a better word, will allow for them to be released.
And accepted by whom?
Accepted by us, by you, by Rob, by Dylan, by Jesse Silva, by myself. Once we learn to accept our emotions, only then can we release them. I mean, I spent many years of my life running, and it's exhausting.
Away from
Running
feeling.
away from
Looking
feeling.
for
I
things for
didn't wanna feel.
distractions.
Looking for distractions from my thoughts, my dark thoughts, my dark thoughts about others and myself and the world, and it's tiring.
It is. So finding other opportunities or other processes like curiosity, like
Right.
humor, to help you initially deal with them. DJ, did you want to say something?
Actually, yes. I find it interesting with my own personal experience with some stuff. Um, I remember when I was younger, I used to hold on to things that bothered me. If I got picked on at school or if something happened, instead of expressing how I felt, I stuffed it down. And
Mhm.
what's nice is excuse me, let me rephrase that. If you keep stuffing things and you keep piling one on top of another and on top of another, it becomes, a boiling pot. And then eventually that last little one that's going to come down is going to be the straw that broke that camel's back. And you'll see some people just completely and utterly explode instead of trying to express those feelings and understand why that anger's there or why that fear's there. And it saves you from a lot of hurt, heartache. It saves you. There's something that I heard that actually Gina and Jesse spoke about one time, and it's if we're in dis-ease, it causes disease.
Mhm.
And that is from not being able to express what's going on inside ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that's what causes the dis-ease for sure.
Right.
So Dylan, earlier in the podcast, I mentioned the sciencey term for what's happening with our emotions called the cognitive emotive loop. And what's happening is we're looping and then we do everything to distract from the loop,
Mhm.
right? But I would suggest that your loop will return, right?
Absolutely.
Like at a weird moment, all of a sudden you're back in it. So here's a really cool exercise that you can try. You had asked in your question about, do I need to take time off from work and this and that? Hey, I'm all for it. Take a vacation, have some fun. Because it's going to take some practice, right? So find yourself some quiet time when you can be by yourself and be okay. And when you're having the feeling, really, really stop, take your breath, because taking a breath is always number one in my book. No matter what you're doing, take that deep breath and even close your eyes and ask yourself, what is this feeling? What am I feeling right now? I'm sad. Drill down. Okay, I'm hurt. I'm grieving. I'm lonely. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm, again, hurt. I'm in pain. I feel injustice happen. However, really drill down under that surface emotion, try to find out but don't spend too much time there, right? Because you might just not have the vocabulary yet. And that's cool. None of us really do when we first start. So I'm sad, right? Where is the sad feeling in your body? Where are you feeling it in your body? Do you have a pit in your stomach?
Maybe a heat running up the back of your neck.
Do you have sweaty palms? Whatever the emotion is, whether it's sad or angry, or the uncomfortable emotion, the negative ones, quote unquote, where are you feeling it in your body? What is the sensation? Really focus on that sensation, whether it is that tunnel vision, that tightness in your chest. I know my jaw clenches. Really focus on it. Sit there and focus on the way it feels. Just for a couple minutes. I'm not saying for long, maybe 2 minutes. Just sit quietly and focus on that feeling. Because so often when we're using coping skills or avoidance, it's because we can't sit with these feelings in our body. So if you can get yourself to just sit there calmly, focusing on the sensation in your body, then you can ask the question, what? Okay, this feeling's happening. What is this feeling here for? What's it trying to show me? What is it trying to tell me? I'm sad because I'm lonely. Oh, it's trying to tell me because I'm sad, because I'm lonely, because I value connection. Oh my God, that's actually a really good thing, right? I'm sad because this thing happened to me, or I'm angry because this thing happened to me when I was 12 and it was not just. Well, absolutely, it wasn't just. That justice is important to me. Wow, that's a really great thing, right? Did you want to add anything?
There's a bunch to add, but it would just be repeating everything that you just said.
Because when we meet our feelings with acceptance, Dylan, they will release. Because what is emotions when it comes down to it? Energy in motion. And what happens when we get stuck in the cognitive emotive loop, we get stuck on the hook. There's no place for these emotions to go except recycle themselves. And then they become our life. So
It's a little
just
interesting.
simple, right?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's interesting because of the little triggers that cause those emotions and those loops to keep repeating themselves as well.
And so often what we're running from in the thick of it, from the emotion, is actually not the thing. We're running from the way it feels in our body, because it feels like horrible. Like no one likes to feel butterflies or their heart racing or nauseous. Like those are not good feelings. So we do everything we can to avoid the physical manifestation of our emotion, thereby distracting us from what's really going on.
And here's the bonus. There's a bonus if you buy now.
One time offer.
If you can practice what Genia just got done breaking down, if you can do it, maybe on a regular basis, maybe just once a day, maybe you find yourself able to do it a couple of times a day, you won't need to take a break from life. You won't look for external changes to affect how you feel on the inside, because you are doing the work on the inside. You're gaining some self-awareness. You're teaching your body to slow down in the moments where it's most important. And that's when processing your thoughts into emotions, recognizing the somatic feeling inside the body, all those things, these are all skills that are going to make the need for distraction, the need for, taking a vacation so that you can de-stress. This is de-stressing.
This is absolutely de-stressing. And I know you love my bumper stickers, so I'm going to throw one.
Here comes a bumper sticker.
Here comes a bumper sticker. If you can name it and claim it, you can tame it. But you can't do any of that if you're all running away from it. So if you can name it, you can claim it, means ownership, you can tame it, and you can integrate it.
That is absolutely perfect. I
Is that a
don't
good
think
one?
as a bumper sticker, because
Not
you'd have
so
to
much.
get really close
Really,
to that bumper
honey?
sticker, and then you're just going to cause an accident trying to read it. But
That's a
Don't
pretty good one. Not bad.
the message is there.
don't be hard on yourself too
Right.
if you don't get it the first or second or even a third time.
Absolutely.
It's being aware of what's going on, and the more that you train yourself with that, and the more that you're able to realize what's going on, it's like riding a bike. The more times you do it, you're able to get on there and be able to do it successfully after a few times.
Sure
And you
thing.
got to think about that too. You can't beat yourself up if you don't get it the first time.
Consider what you just were talking about a moment ago, DJ. You talked about how when you were young, you used to, push it all down. You used to, well, I remember the exact phrase that you used, stuff it. You stuff it. I kept thinking,
Stuff it.
you might gain some weight, but you're stuffing those emotions. Well, you learned that practice beautifully, right? I mean, it was not even having to crack open a book or ask a question of anybody of how do you, push down those emotions? How do you bottle them up? How do you press them down? Because you learned that over a long period of time and you practiced it. Now, we might only be talking about the first 15 years of your life, but that became a very, very hardwired set of skills that you used. They're not working for you now. You know that. So now you have to consider that same
Exactly.
process from back then. All right, I did it without focusing on learning something. I just was looking to adapt the only way that I could learn how to do so. And that's what I did. But now I've got awareness. Now I've got skills. I've listened to Genius Silva. I've listened to this video, and I've read that book. And now I have some additional skills so I can put them intentionally into play.
I mean, we all have created strategies to keep us safe as we travel this journey of life, right? We've all created these strategies, and they work great until they don't, right? And we're just offering some extra tools because maybe your strategies of coping, maybe you're ready, you have an awareness that coping works, but maybe you're looking for something a little more long term,
and that's why
awesome.
I would take your additional tools and turn that word into alternative tools, because we've spent a lot of time talking about the concept that DJ you opened us up to, the idea of what we learned and how to deal with life and how to deal with emotions when we were young that we're still practicing as adults. Well, here are some that you can take those existing ones, put them on pause, start to play and practice with some of these new tools, like breaking things open a little bit, learning additional language terms that might give you a little bit more flexibility in describing exactly how you feel. And if you're able to do that, discover the epiphanies of things that are important to you, unpacking your values, understanding where your beliefs, and maybe looking into where those things come from. But all of that sits at the core of how we process emotions.
Right.
Exactly. And what's really interesting and that just popped in my mind is an emotion is a skill set, just like anything else that we learn through life. Do we learn how to ride the bike, or we learn how to cook on the stove without burning our hands on the burner? And when those skill sets no longer serve us, it's time to learn to be able to get rid of those. And I think a lot of people don't understand how to take that time to get rid of it, except for when you start learning those new skill sets. So you're learning how to use the shovel to be able to dig a hole, to be able to help with the road company you are working with now. You're going to build those because you're constantly working with those day in and day out. And usually that's how a lot of those other skill sets disappear. But sometimes we don't see those skill sets when they're stuck inside emotionally. And that's sometimes the hardest thing to realize. And when that you're able to realize that, that's when you're able to move out, to get out of that depression, to say if someone passed away, to get out of that place where you were grieving and you're angry. It allows you to move forward.
Absolutely.
It helps you find your freedom. And like you said, get out of that depression. You mentioned earlier that, disease is, dis-ease creates disease. Absolutely true. It's been said, depression, what is depressed, meaning you need a deep rest. Well, of course you need a deep rest. You have been fighting for 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life. You need to stop. Of course you need the deep rest, and depression shows up. How could you not, right? It all makes sense. And it's normal, human, and adaptations to this journey of life. Bad stuff happens. We develop coping skills. More bad stuff happens. We stack, like you were saying before, we stack. Yep. What we're saying now kind of goes against, the grain. There's a few thought leaders out there, in the same sort of violent realm, in the realm that we're in, dun, dun, dun. That it's absolutely, and we have seen in real time, and we have lived our real lives becoming free from the depression, the anxiety, the pain, the agony. And everyone out there, every single person has the power within them to do the same thing. It's
Very
just-
important distinction
Yeah.
that you just said, and I'm just going to make it super simple. There's default adaptations,
Mhm.
adaptations that we learn from those around us, our caregivers or our friends or our family or social media.
or
those are-
even medical professionals in the last, say,
Well,
150
I'm thinking-
years teaching coping skills, teaching management. Right.
But those and those become a default. Like that's what's there. That's of course what we all learn.
Right.
What we're talking
No.
about, and when Genia was mentioning the other thought leaders, there's a whole movement of there's intention that you can bring into this. You can intentionally learn to feel differently, to process thoughts, process feelings, look for the deep emotions and the specific elements that trigger you, because they're all coming through, and that feeling that you're feeling comes from the set of beliefs and the values that you have, but you're processing them in such a way that was actually just default taught to you. The tools are not matching the outcome that you want. We're saying get intentional. All right, so here's the practice. And the whole thing that Genia unfolded, that can take place in 60 seconds or
Yeah.
less.
Yep.
But you have to be intentional about it. You have to want to do it. You have to see and feel that there's potential in there. Because the alternative is you just keep being who you are and expecting a different result.
And no harm and no judgment, and that's fine.
No judgment. What were you going to say, DJ?
I would like to touch on something that Genia said a little earlier, and it's about fighting. It's about fighting with the emotions and stuff like that for
call
with
it
things that are
resistance.
being held down.
Right.
What a lot of people don't realize, and I'm hoping you guys do understand out there in the world, that we're fighting ourselves.
Mhm.
We're not fighting anybody else. When that person, let's say, cuts in front of us, they have something going on with themselves as well, if they're in their vehicle, and we get angry. But that fighting that we're getting is inside ourselves that we're fighting
Mhm.
against.
We've heard the term resistance, and I love that word to
Yeah.
describe what you just unfolded there,
Yeah.
because we're resisting, and it doesn't have to go outside of our bodies. We're just resisting that feeling. We're resisting acceptance. We're resisting, the possibility that everything that we have learned, all the skills that we have, may not be working for us.
Yeah. Resistance, fighting, very synonymous. And it is, and it's exhausting. But again, if that's all you've learned, right? And you've not learned that you can absolutely sit with an uncomfortable emotion
And
for
you
2
will-
minutes, and you will be okay.
Not only will you
promise you
be-
100% you will be okay.
Not only will you be okay, you will not suffer bodily damage, and you will not die. And just straight to the point, because look, that's what sits at the far end scope of everything that we fear,
Right.
some bodily damage or that we die. But doing this work, doing the work, and however you do it,
Right.
it is not going to harm you in the least bit. It's just going to feel
In
uncomfortable.
fact, it'll release you, from the pain,
Absolutely.
right?
And the fear.
And the fear and all of the negative things can happen to your body by holding all of those things in, which is an entirely different conversation, which we'll get to, I'm sure.
But speaking of getting to something,
Dun, dun,
Yep,
dun.
we definitely have something here new for you. Let's go
You
ahead and get
do?
into that meme buster.
Oh my goodness, is it time for Meme Busters?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
All right, give me
Breaking
1 second
through.
so I can pull it up here for you. All
Yeah.
right, here we go.
Breaking through. So what we do, for those of the newer join, we kind of canvas social media looking for, I don't know, memes that trigger us in a certain kind of way, and we are bringing them to you to bust together, because there's a lot of toxic positivity going on out there, spiritual bypassing going on out there, and just plain BS that's going on out there.
our three categories.
Our
for
three
meme
categories. So every week we're gonna bring you a meme that we've harvested, and we're gonna bust it a little bit.
Okay, DJ, I'll read it out if you'll put it up.
There you go.
They don't lie to you because the truth will hurt your feelings. They lie to you because the truth might provoke you to make choices that won't serve their interests.
Oh my goodness.
You
Where
might
to begin?
you might have to put that up just one more time
They don't
These
so that
lie
we
to
can
you.
so that we can stare at it and get triggered.
Yes, we want to get triggered. We want to lean into our trigger here. They don't lie to you because the truth will hurt your feelings. Truth. They don't. People don't lie
To
to
hurt.
people. They don't lie to hurt. People lie not to hurt your feelings. Great. I have zero problem with that.
Okay.
Do you anybody else?
They may impulsively use words that are defensive and offensive at the same time,
Sure.
but the true intent behind lying is
Right.
what?
Well, that's for the next
Oh, I'm
next
sorry.
sentence. I was just talking about the first
Went too
sentence. You're racing
fast.
ahead there, Zippy.
Slow down.
Listen, slow your roll, Mr. Silva. So they don't lie to you because the truth will hurt you. Perfect. People don't lie to other people. People lie for themselves. One more time for those in the back. People don't lie to other people. They lie for themselves.
But I want to take it personal.
But no, don't take it personally
Okay.
because people don't lie to people. They lie for themselves. Every time you've lied in your life, and we've all done it, you've never lied to somebody. You've lied to protect yourself from being exposed, from doing something dumb, for getting a bad grade. You've done it for yourself.
Let's see.
Now,
Okay, the
next.
second sentence.
You may
They
have it.
lie to you. No, we're doing it together here. They lie to you because the truth might provoke you to make choices that won't serve their interest. That just doesn't even make sense.
It
to me.
doesn't make too much sense. But I think the problem I had with this meme,
Mhm.
or what I disagree with, again, you're making it about you. Like this one's making it like they're lying to you because you might make some choice in the future. Like, please take yourself out of the equation when somebody lies. It has nothing to do with you.
In fact,
Zero to do with you.
If you were to get curious as to what they feared, and either could ask them or just take yourself down that thought path, it would lessen the impact of them having lied to you, because we tend to take that so personal. It's not, as Genius said. So what is this?
Is it spiritual bypassing? No, not so much.
No, definitely not.
Is toxic? It's definitely not positive. So
No.
it can't really be toxic positivity.
Could be toxic negativity. Oh, wait.
I think
That's
it's just plain BS.
It is plain BS, because in all honesty, the meme
I
itself,
agree.
it takes you
Yeah.
down the path that you explained beautifully, is just makes no sense. But I also just feel like it just gets way too convoluted. But
Right.
good try.
Right. And I think it can be harmful because then, someone reads this and they're like, oh my gosh, this person lied to me today because I might make a choice that won't serve their interest. I think it's confusing. It's weak.
And it's constructed.
It's constructed. And
Constructed
I
to
think
serve
yeah.
the person saying they're upset for being lied to.
And I think it's damaging because how much easier? Okay, so-and-so lied. They lied for themselves. I understand it. I can choose to accept to still have this person in my life. I can accept not to, whatever, but it has nothing to do with me.
That's it.
The-
But a reaction to a lie can honestly often tell ourselves something about ourselves. So
Absolutely.
there's definite value in there. It's just not necessarily something you're going to like to see.
No, we don't like to be exposed.
Okay,
Scary.
meme busted.
Meme busted. So emotions, great night on emotions. So
Yeah.
remember, emotions in the famous words of Susan David, who wrote Emotional Agility, emotions are simply data. They are not directives, right? In my bumper sticker of the night, name it, claim it, and tame it.
And don't forget that doing the exercise when you have calm moments of really exploring how you felt in a very recent past emotional explosion is literally better for you than the 20 years of practicing stuffing those emotions down
Stuffing or avoiding or distracting,
from.
right?
Absolutely.
And just, just because you think a thought, one of those 80,000 thoughts that go through our head all day long, does not make it true.
Some of them
You
can
decide.
be super funny.
Yeah.
Some of them you can get curious about, but none of them are true.
If you heard, gosh, Jesse asks sometimes in our group that, would it be awesome if everyone walked around with thought bubbles like over their heads, like you see on the cartoons? I'm like, oh, no. Like,
You see
the
people
first
walking down
ones.
the street with that? That'd be
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, no one wants to see what's going on in here, and that's okay. And that's part of my flawed, fabulous humanity, right? So
Absolutely.
So we will be back. Well, next week is the 4th of July, Mr. DJ Montage. So we'll probably be skipping next week and coming back the week after for our 5th installment of coaching sessions. Am I right?
I'm actually looking up the date right
Look
now
at the
for us
calendar.
here.
So while DJ Montage
Please
is looking
remember to subscribe.
So it is 4th of July. Yep.
Okay.
And so if you're listening now and you have thoughts about whether it is any of the past topics or even this one of emotions or something else, please feel free to text them in, to post them.
Reach out to us. You can find us at raindancelife.com, at raindancelife on all the socials, even TikTok. Jesse added a TikTok today, so we'll be figuring that one out. But you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Raindance Life. And you can email us right through the website that's listed on your screen. Be sure to subscribe to the Broad Street South channel because Angel and Rob and the team are so amazing, and we are so grateful to have this platform to kind of throw our thoughts into the mental wellness ring.
But our thoughts are not meant to be, even though they come across as a monologue, they're meant to be a dialogue.
So please remember to call in, write in, text in. Hey, spend an hour with us on Zoom. Complimentary, no charge. Shoot us an email. We'll be happy to sit with you.
And with that, back to you, DJ.
These guys are definitely an amazing group here. Jesse and Genia host a group called Broken over at Raindance as well. You can actually find that through the raindancelife.com. And you go to events and it'll take you to Eventbrite, which will set you up for a Zoom meeting if you want to go there. You're more than welcome to come in and check it out. You can be completely and utterly anonymous if you like to. You can sit there. You don't have to say anything at all. Just experience the group.
Yeah, we do it every Wednesday night. We've done it every Wednesday night for the last 6 years. Mm-hmm. And we are happy to offer it worldwide through our virtual Zoom platform, which is amazing. So we're getting people from all over. And there is like I said, it's our free workshop. We do this because this is our passion. We believe that you can live the life that you've always imagined, a life of freedom from fear, from anxiety, from all the icks.
And we want to help.
And we want to just help get you there.
But again, another shout out to Angel and the crew from
Broad Street
South. Without them and without you, DJ Montage, we would not have a platform. So thank you very much.
Yeah, most definitely. And thanks for being here. Well, you guys have a great night. And I'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah. No
2
show
weeks.
Next week because it's the 4th of July. Please, give your loved ones hugs and kisses and have some fun. And we will do it the week after.
Most definitely. Well, have a great night and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Thank you.
Hugs across the water.
Yep. Bye-bye now. All right. Well, thank you all for coming in and watching the show tonight. We're going to head out and we'll see you guys soon.